Welcome, players, to Is a Game. Is a Game podcast is a one-of-a-kind Q&A inspired by word association that invites you to get inside the minds of world-class creatives, entrepreneurs, and marketers worldwide. So I'm Izzy, your host, also known as Isabella D. Stefano. I've been in social storytelling and creative for over 13 years, launching campaigns you may have seen, like In Bed with My Calvins, Barbie Life in the Dream House, and Selfie by the Chainsmokers. So every week I create a new list of words inspired by my guest and what's going on in the world. And I write them on these cute little cards. And when the guest comes in, they've not seen the cards or the words before. And essentially, I ask them, unfiltered, the first thing that pops into their head when I say one of these words. And what I like about this game is that the first thing that pops into your head is not only about like how your brain works every day kind of thing, but it's also about what you're thinking of in the moment, right? And what kind of is surrounding you in that day. So not only does this allow you to kind of understand someone's process, but also what's top of mind for them. You get to know them in a little bit of a different way than asking them a direct question that they can prepare for. That's, I think, what's also really fun about this show is that it's not always going to be the same, right? Because we're really authentically inviting people to share their first thoughts. So it really can go in a number of different directions. So there's an element of surprise and delight to each episode. And my goal really is to inspire, motivate, educate, and ultimately connect young women in particular. Perhaps you're graduating from college, or you're still in college, or just graduated, or going through a transition in your career. I hope this podcast serves as a source of inspiration, motivation, guidance. And I say connection too, because I'm super open and I want to serve the community. So I want feedback, and I'd love to bring on guests that people are really particularly excited to hear from. I hope that young women learn from this that there is not only one way to arrive at the same goal. That's something that I've learned throughout my career, and it's super important to understand because I think it helps you work with a variety of people and personalities, which if you ever want to work particularly in a large corporate environment, it's super important to understand how to navigate that. And part of how you do that is appreciating the fact that two people can have the same goal and approach it a little bit differently. So I think it's really interesting to also talk to different experts and understand what their approach is and see how it's different from someone in the same industry or someone from a different industry or similar background or interests. So that's really where I'm headed with this. And I'm really excited to be here and really listen to the community as we go so that we can invite in experts inside and outside my network. I'm Izzy, your host. I have 13 years of experience and counting in social media and creative storytelling. I started my career at Mattel launching social for some of your favorite childhood brands like Uno, Scrabble, Barbie. Then I went on to work in entertainment. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I'm actually originally from New York, but I've definitely got some Cali girl in me now as I spent 4 years there. I went to work for this small startup founded by Oliver Luckett and Ari Emanuel, who, if you've seen Entourage, Ari is Ari. He's at the top of Hollywood, the most iconic agent of all time. And essentially, we pioneered the idea of building up celebrities' social channels and monetizing them. And then we basically flipped the model to take lesser known talent and amplify them through amazing storytelling and strategic distribution. So I then actually went through this really bad breakup, and I wanted to leave Los Angeles and come back to my roots in New York City and get really involved in the fashion space. So I popped back to New York and joined the CFDA, which is also known as the Council of Fashion Designers of America, which at the time was led by Diane von Furstenberg. And essentially, I launched their digital and social media programming and created their first partnership with Instagram with the Instagrammer of the Year Award, which is a campaign you may have seen. And I went on from the CFDA to work at various fashion brands, did some small entrepreneurial stints helping launch a few startups, and then a small stint in product before going to Calvin Klein, where I was most recently when I was in the corporate world, leading social and storytelling across social for the brand. This was one of the most rewarding experiences, if not the most rewarding experience of my career to date. I met some people that I still work with to this day, and my greatest collaborators who I bonded with in a really unique way. I feel very lucky to have had that opportunity. I left and started my own business. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so I'm actually doing it now. And I'm here today as a creative and video director as part of Izzo, which is my social creative agency. And also, I'm now launching this podcast to start to build a space for, like I said, young women to come together, learn, inspire one another, get motivated, get connected. And I really want the products that I deliver to be a reflection of what the community really needs. So this will grow and evolve, and I hope we can do that together. And I'm just super excited to be here and share my knowledge and learn from you.
Stay tuned, players. The first episode of Is a Game podcast drops next Tuesday, November 1st, with Larisse McMillian, who is my debut guest. You may know her as a badass creator, content strategist for Meta, and the host of Social Skills. Listen in as she drops some knowledge, shares a little tea, and talks to us about what's inspiring her these days. In the meantime, subscribe to isagame.substack.com, follow Is a Game podcast across social platforms, and connect with me one-on-one by sliding into my DMs. I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Ciao.